hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews hobby stream. How are you all doing? It's somehow Sunday already. I'm not sure how that's happened. I may be a little delirious from days of staring at a computer writing Stormcast and Orc reviews. I am joined today by Jay. Jay, how the devil are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you very much.
What are you working on today?
I've got the Heresy book, I'm working on some Heresy, I'm working on the Dark Angels Primarch.
The Dark Angels Primarch?
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the Black Templars coming out soon. I've got a bunch of Heresy Dark Angels, and I thought, well, I'll try practicing the Black Armour on them.
Nice. Well, in that case, I have got the stream description completely wrong because you're not painting Sanguinius. Oh well, it's a Primarch, guys. And Andy, what are you working on today?
So I've got two things. I'm currently building a Sloppity Bow Piper.
A Sloppity Bow Piper, excellent.
Sloppity Bow Piper for my Maggotkin army. And then once this is built, I'm gonna start painting up the Runt Herd for my Gretchen and start getting a bit of work on the Orcs.
The brave Runt Herd.
The brave Runt Herd, yeah. I've managed to get the Combat Patrol Orc box as well, so depending on
you said you were going to do that.
Herd, I might crack that open.
Fabius Fulgrim says, nice to see some chaos painted.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah, it's true.
Also, we've got Berserk in the chat as well. How are you doing? Long time no see.
Well, it's nice to see Berserk got home all right from the cinema.
Did Berserk enjoy the film is the question.
Well, this is it, yeah. I think he did.
Excellent.
I'm not sure if he enjoyed it as much as Dave would, but yeah.
Well, this is it. Maybe I should go see it with Dave and come back with the official out of 18-star rating or whatever we're up to now. Well, I am painting Fulminators because I've always really narratively liked Fulminators, and in no way because they're actually really good in the new book. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not as good as the new kind of dragon new dragon battle line unit. I forget what they're called, Drake Sworn Cavalry, whatever they are. They're really, really cool. But unfortunately, they're not out yet, and they're not out like next week. So I've got to get my dragon fixed somehow. So working on the Fulminators. And you know what? I have enjoyed building and painting them more than I thought I would. When they came out,
are quite old kits, aren't they?
Yeah, I always thought they looked a bit toy-like when they first came out, but in person they actually look a lot nicer.
Oh, that's good.
There's now obviously it's the squads of two. So if you had an army with lots of them, you're kind of limited with opposers because you've kind of got one with one foot up and one with the other foot up, and that's kind of it. You can probably kit bash them a little bit, but no, I was pleasantly surprised building them, because it's no secret. I think both me and you both want to do a full dragon army, don't we, Jay?
Well, I definitely not necessarily a full dragon army for me. I want the two big dragons. I really like those guys.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So we headed up to Warhammer World this week, didn't we, guys?
We did indeed.
Oh yeah, it was good.
It's been a long time since we were trying to work out when we were there, when the last time we all went to Warhammer World was, and I think me and Dave went January last year, I want to say, for one of the open days, and since then I don't think we've all been. I know you've been once, Andy, haven't you, since then? Once
Yeah,
twice,
I went back in a week after Age of Sigmar 3 came out, so it was like mid-July sort of time, I think, the last time I went.
I don't think I've been in 2020, so I think it's like 2019 was the last time I went.
That's crazy. Oh, well, did you enjoy it though, Jay? Being back in the Holy Land?
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good to get around the museum again. It's been like nearly 2 years probably since I've been around there. A few new dioramas and things. Yeah. It was good to finally see, actually. A highlight for me was looking at the Lumineth in the cabinet. It's the first time I've actually seen the Lumineth.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You know, in person, they're heavy metal painted and really, really nice. They're crisp and a great paint job on those guys. What else did I like? Bugman's. It was good to go to Bugman's.
Oh yeah, you can't knock Bugman's. Don't mean to worry you, Andy, but Berserk says what Andy doesn't realise is that I didn't get home, I got lost, and I'm stuck awaiting rescue. Fair enough. Fabius Williams says, showing off playing games going to Warhammer World. Meanwhile, in week 13 of lockdown. Yeah, you guys are back in lockdown, aren't you? If it makes you feel any better, our incompetent, glorious leader's probably going to end up with us in lockdown at some point too.
Yeah, there's rumours, isn't there, of an October lockdown.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to happen, which means you can probably put money on it. So we'll have to make sure we get all the Warhammer in before then, won't we?
Yeah, we get that to Warhammer World.
Sorry, Andy, what are you saying?
On the plus side, at least it gives us some more time to get stuff painted.
This is true. I mean, you got a lot painted over lockdown, didn't you?
Yeah, I cleared most of my backlog last year, and I was like super happy with my pile of potential and stuff like that going into this year. And then in the last month or so, I've got about almost 100 orc models to paint. And I've been carrying on with my Bone Reapers, and then obviously looking at like all the Cruel Boy stuff and the Stormcast stuff. Yeah. I've got the Dominion box set sat on my shelf as well, so I need to paint them at some point this year.
Well, I'm super excited to start painting, or even start building the Cruel Boys, because I think I'm going to do a Cruel Boys force. I've got 2 copies of Dominion, so that should give me a big chunk of an army, and I want to add some of the other stuff when it's out. But yeah, I really like the Cruel Boys. I think they look really fun. They suffer from a lack of rend across the army, but they make up for that with the kind of innate, if you roll a 6 to hit, you do mortal wounds equal to your damage, which kind of gets around the rend. But you can't really rely on 6+ kind of poison abilities. So there's a few cool things that interacts with that. The Sludge Raker, which is the big, weird, lanky-looking monster, means that when your Cruel Boys kind of proc that poison ability, they deal an additional mortal wound each, which is really ace. And then the Marsh Crawler gives them like a passive +1 to hit, which is nice. And then you can use the Bog Shaman fella to make that poison go off on a 5+ as well. So yeah, there's some pretty nice ways of getting that poison a bit more reliable. Obviously, it's down to luck then a little bit compared to more reliable damage output of rend. But you know, with some of the ward saves and stuff people have got anyway, you're pretty good. And Cruel Boys have got some really nice ways of just negating ward saves entirely. So
it's 40k ignoring vulnerable saves all over again.
I think that's good though, having a bit of a rock paper scissors where there is something to combat in vulnerable saves, because some armies really do struggle with them.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Cruel Boy stuff in the new Battle Tome, I mean, this is the great thing about the new Battle Tome. The Iron Jaws are all good. Well, I say all good. You can easily do an army of Iron Jaws, and it'd be good. And looking at the Cruel Boys and the Savage Orcs as well, they both look super solid. All the allegiance abilities for them are good. The artifacts and command traits again are useful, and they all play slightly differently as well, because like the Cruel Boys are all about sneaky stuff and all that sort of stuff. So, and they don't hit as hard as the Iron Jaws do in combat. But then, like you said, you've got units that synergize really well to buff to hit rolls and add more mortal wounds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's lots of shenanigans you can do with a Cruel Boys army. One of my favourite things is the Dirty Trick rule. So at the start of the game, you pick one of 4, I think, different abilities. One of them basically places mines on objectives and scenery pieces that goes off when an enemy unit gets nearby. Another one makes your opponent take, I think it's like D3 units off the board, and they come down from the board edge in turn 2. They're really, really cool. Lots of winning through guile and cunning rather than brute strength, which is nice. to add an extra way of playing to the war clans. That's pretty fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like goblins.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Also in the book we get quite a bit of reference to the Chaos Dwarfs as well. So they have refused to trade with the Uruk races due to the War of Broken Alliances. So apparently Chaos Dwarfs keep grudges too, Jay. I mean, at the end of the day, they are dwarves, aren't they? Dwarden, sorry.
This is it.
So yeah, due to the fact that they don't trust the Uruks because they betrayed them in the past, the only race they'll deal with are the Hobgrots, who are technically an offshoot. They're not dead orky. So yeah, so they deal with them. They swap their cast-off weaponry and ore and stuff in exchange for slaves that the Hobgrots bring them. So again, I do hope this is leading towards them getting released as an army proper sometime, because that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people would be very happy.
If Chaos Dwarfs come out, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
I love Chaos and I love Dwarfs.
Exactly. Mix the two together and you can't go wrong, can you?
No, exactly.
So yeah, in the Stormcast book as well, there's some reference to cool stuff. So Indrasta has only ever not killed 3 of their quarries. One of them is Kragnos, so he's obviously still on the kill list. And somehow I picture like Uma Thurman's kill list in Kill Bill. So Kragnos is on there, he's not dead. So she's going to try and sort him out. Also, there's a demon called Doombreed, who in the review I said, oh, that's a new demon. Apparently not. Apparently he's been referenced in the 90s in 40k as a demon general of Khorne. So it could be a hint of a new kit coming. Interesting that they've called him out. That's normally a sign of, named characters tend to get models, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
And they also mentioned the god of all dragon ogres. So previously there was a dragon ogre. What was his name?
The Shaggoth. Yeah, I can't remember what his name was now.
It's not him though. It is a different character that, as far as I can see, it's the first reference to him. And he bested Indrasta in the past as well. So I do wonder, could we see the dragon ogres come back as like a proper faction? Because they were, then they weren't, then they were in the Beasts of Chaos. It'd nice to see a Chaos Dragon army come out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I can definitely see. I imagine they'd still keep them in the Beasts of Chaos book.
Yeah.
But when the next Beasts of Chaos book comes out, I imagine they'll roll out all the Dragon Ogre stuff and make it a bit.
They could do it like this, couldn't they? Where obviously there's an army within an army, and you can go full dragon dragon ogre if you want to, which would be really ace, because I always like the dragon ogres.
Yeah, that's how I think they'd probably do it.
And they fit in the kind of era of the beast kind of stuff as well. I mean, we've speculated about what armies are going to get new models, haven't we, in the past? And it's kind of anyone's game at the minute, isn't it? I mean, there's a few older books that maybe need an update. Arguably, Beasts of Chaos are one of those, aren't they?
Yeah, I'd probably say they need it. They need it in the sense that the book isn't that strong. But I mean, this book still works. You look at like the Idoneth Deepkin and stuff, and most of their battle tome now is found in the Broken Realm Marathi book, isn't it? So I think Idoneth need a bit of love, and even Nurgle.
Oh yeah, definitely. Grace in chat said Kolek Suneater was a dragon ogre, wasn't he? Yes, he was. Steve Harbert saying hi over on YouTube as well. What's on the painting table? Jay impressed by the head on Twitter. Yeah, so I thought on the grounds that Jay was like an hour ago painting Sanguinius' head.
That's not Sanguinius' head.
Oh, is that
that's Lionel Johnson's head.
Well, there you go.
I've already painted Sanguinius.
I've obviously been completely ignoring everything going on.
To be fair, They are quite similar, except the lion has a beard and Sanguinius doesn't have a beard. You know?
Yeah, that suddenly makes a lot more sense. So yeah, based on the images on Twitter, Jay is indeed painting Lionel Johnson, the Primarch of the Dark Angels, and not, as I have said in the description, Sanguinius. Honestly though, I swear you said last night you were painting Sanguinius today.
I've already painted Sanguinius.
Ah, well, there you go then. Obviously, I'm an idiot. Anonymous Rex says, evening. Tyler Peck says, bound to continue putting together the Kill Team Orcs. Pro tip on them, the sprues are in no order. There's bits strewn across them all over the place. Yeah, it took me a while to find the parts. A lot of modern kits, the kind of relevantly numbered parts are all together. The Uruk Kill Team sprue is in typical Orky manner with bits all over the place.
I was going to say, it's just on theme, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But it does make it tricky to build. Anonymous Rex says, bearded Sanguinius. Exactly.
Bearded Sanguinius, yeah. I don't know if he can grow a beard or not. I've never seen any artwork with him with any facial hair. There is alternative artwork with him with dark hair.
Right.
So mine's got blonde, but yeah, they are quite similar heads apart from the beards, to be fair.
And his like hipster phase.
Maybe, yeah. It's a bit sure in one of the Avengers film where Thor just lets it go and he's feeling a bit depressed.
Yeah.
After Cygnus Prime, Sanguinius just went a bit off the rails.
Maybe that's what the Black Rage is really about then.
Yeah.
Just the outrage of Sanguinius growing a beard.
Speaking of Black Rage, have you guys watched the latest episode of oh god, what's it called now?
Angels of Death.
I'm on episode 3.
Oh,
I've seen episode 3.
You've seen 3. You've seen 3.
I've seen 3, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It really hashtag spoilers. Well, not much of a spoiler now, I guess, but I really want to carry on painting these Gene Stealer cults.
Yeah.
After I've done these, that might be the next thing I work on. And I need to finish the Horus Heresy stuff, but I feel when GW do officially announce this box, that should give me enough time to finish the Sons of Horus. Where the Gene Stealer cults will take a little bit longer than them because there's lots of models to paint because it's Gene Stealer cults.
There's a lot more models in the Gene Stealer cult army.
I was chatting to Chris Peach when we were at Warhammer World. When was it? Wednesday. And he's got a really gorgeous Gene Stealer cults army in the museum at the minute. Which he said that it's the same thing. The downside to Gene Stealer cults is that you need a lot of models, and I think that's why Dave didn't do them in the end, because you've got to paint a load of stuff. And I guess they're another contender for a new codex that maybe mixes up the way things are put together. But yeah, he's done a load of like Lehman Russes and stuff, and he's done kind of like pin-up girl art on the side of them and give them more like punny names like Claudette, as in Claw, tee.
But see, this is when I looked at Orcs initially, I thought the same thing. A load of models that's going to take me forever to paint. But that's why I've gone for knobs and mega knobs and stuff initially.
Yeah.
Groundwork.
And this is it. I could go down more the, pure strains and the, not the neophytes, the kind of more Gene Stealery looking hybrids. I forget what they're called. Acolytes, maybe.
Yeah.
All Xenos scum to me. I don't know.
All Xenos scum. So yeah, I'm keen to paint some more. And that episode ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, didn't it?
Episode 3?
Yeah.
Episode 4? Episode 3, yeah.
Episode 4 isn't out yet till next Wednesday.
But yeah, it was nice to see. I don't want to say too much in case it's spoilers, but it was nice to see that Space Marines aren't impervious to harm.
Yeah. In the chat, loads of comments in the chat. Gracie says, I'd like to point out that now I've finished that first clan rat unit, though I need to start the second and finish off the storm vermin. So many rats. Tyler Peck says the sprues are a damn joke on the commandos. Gracie says pre-ordered the Stormcast book so I can finally pick a Storm host and begin my Dominion box seriously. Though I may test some Liberators to try schemes. What are you thinking for the Storm host, Gracer? If you need some help, I literally have the battle tome behind me. If I put down my tools, and we'll have a look at the Storm host together. Anonymous Rex says, my metallics are never truly smooth. Is there any tips? I've put mixing bits in to help, but it sometimes dries patchy. So, my Stormcast, I normally do Retributor Gold out of a rattle can first, and then touch it up. This will probably need a couple of coats just to dry well. The reason I've not sprayed this gold is on balance. Oh, messed up a bit there. On balance, there's more non-gold bits than gold bits, so it kind of made sense to paint the skin of the beast, block in the gold, then I can touch up where I've hit the skin, and then go from there. Normally it's easy, just spray it all gold. If you are a Warhammer Plus subscriber, on Wednesday I believe there is a metallic gold painting guide by Louise Sugden. So this is the technique of getting that kind of non-metallic gold effect using metallics by like glazing it up through different kind of shades. So you still get the dark and light contrasting parts, but you're using metallic paints for it. So yeah, looking forward to doing that, because that's what I've been trying to do in my Stormcast. It just takes lots and lots of glazing, which takes a very long time. But thankfully Stormcast are quite an elite army, so I don't mind doing it. Berserk says 4,000 points of Iron Jaws. Let's go, boys. Yeah, that's terrifying. I have fought your Iron Jaws before as well, Berserk. We need to have a rematch. Berserk says still not painted to finish, by the way. You'll get them done in no time. Piece of cake.
He's definitely got 2,000 points painted.
That's cool.
So anything after that is gravy, really, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's nice having a variety of different units to paint, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, on the wet palette front, as you can see from my dry palette, I still haven't bought one yet. That's on my to-do list. Maybe on payday.
Tell you what, I've just built the I don't know, dancing, singing Nurgling from the Sloppity Bar Paper.
Oh yeah, I know the one.
I'm just like, yeah, I love the Nurglings.
Nurglings are cool.
I don't know which one's my favourite, to be honest with you. I like the little one on the fly that you get with the Puskor Bite Lords.
I quite like the heroic one with the sword from the Great Unclean One kit.
Oh yeah.
That's a top 3 waiting to happen, isn't it? Top 3
Yeah,
Nurglings.
top 3 Nurglings.
Maybe we'll do that. Well,
There's one on Mortarion. Mortarion's got a couple, hasn't he, on his base?
Mortarion's got quite a few Nurglings, yeah. If I had him to hand, which I don't, I'd grab him out and show him, yeah. But yeah, he's got quite a few. I kind of wish that I'd kept all these Nurglings separate to do some kind of ridiculous Nurgling army that I know a few people have done in the past. Put them on like 32 more bases and stuff and use them as like Chaos Warriors.
Yeah, I think Andy Bryan, for his Nurgle army, he bought all of his little Nurglings and stuff. He put them on the 25mm bases, so he could use them as Chaos Marauders, but they still look like, obviously, like Nurgle demons.
Yeah, that's cool. I like stuff like that. It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, now need to determine which parts are gold. Where's the box gone? Lots of gold on there. Okay. So let's go with that. Anonymous Rex says, anybody's AOS armies get hit by the main minimum unit size changes. Managed to pick up some units off eBay to shore up my numbers.
Yeah. My Blades of Khorne army got hit. I no longer can take 5 Blood Warriors that I got in the original Age of Sigmar starter set. And obviously you can only buy them in boxes of 10.
That's annoying.
Yeah, unless I can find another 5. Oh no, Berserk gave me 5. There you go.
There you go.
But yeah, I've got to get them built and painted before I can have a legal unit. But I still don't have the standard or the Gore Glaive in the unit. It's just 10 guys.
Okay. You can always convert it, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
That's what I'm planning on doing with my Cruel Boys. Obviously, the Cruel Boys have got options for a leader, a musician, and a standard bearer. So I'm going to use some spare Uruk parts for the banners, I think.
I was very tempted the other day to pick up the, the starter set that's got a killer boss, 10 gut rippers, and the 5 vindictors, the little 25.
Yeah, that looks like a really good way of getting some battle line choices for both armies.
Yeah, well, if I get that, that'll give me another 10 gut rippers, another 5 vindictors, so I can spread that, either make one of the units of 5 that's in the Dominion box at a unit of 10, or spread it and have like a third battle line unit. And then obviously when the newer stuff comes out, then I've only got probably about 500 points to buy and got 2,000 points to Stormcast again.
Yeah, that's good going. Well, yeah, I at some point want to do the full dragon army. Points wise, if you want the 2 big dragons and you want all dragons, you've got to take a unit of these and 2 units of the dragons, which isn't a bad thing because these are pretty good. These are pretty good. So nice little shock unit. You know, they get like 30 odd damage they can put out on the charge, 2 of them, which is really good.
That's bonkers.
Yeah, pretty happy with them. I mean, they're like 200 odd points for 2 of them.
I was telling Matt before we went live, I went to an event a few years ago called South Coast GT, and I played a guy who was running 2 units of 2, and I had a big unit of 40 Arrow Boys because I took the Cunning Rook this is back in my competitive days when I used to run really silly competitive armies. And I played a guy with 2 Fulminators who charged in and killed about 13 Savage Orcs, which is about 26 damage. And then I took the casualties away from the Fulminators. So then going into the next turn, he won the priority roll and just charged them back in. And it was then I realised that I've given him a free charge and given him a load of extra damage for free.
Yeah, so yeah, the glaive that they've got are only damage 1, but they damage 3 on the charge. So
nice.
Yeah. Which means there's ways around them. You know, if you can charge them, it minimises. Same as with Varangard. If you can charge them, it minimises some of the damage output.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you don't do that or do a tactical blunder like that, then you're setting yourself up for a world of hurt, aren't you?
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, the Night Herald Orc, see, with the Stormcast stuff, the first edition Stormcast stuff really interests me more than newer stuff.
Oh, right.
I want to see how it's aged in the new book. And the Night Herald Orc used to be able to give a unit retreat and charge, I think it was.
Ooh, well, let's see. Let me put this to one side, clean my brush, and we shall get the book out and have a nosy. While I'm doing that, let's have a quick nosy down the chat. Gracie says the number of Hammer of Sigmar special characters seem to point towards them, but I'm not much of a fan of how much gold they have. So I prefer the ones where the gold is the trim. Anvils maybe. Berserk says also the Chill Nurgling from the Great Unclean One kit. He's literally hanging out of the chest of the Great Unclean One. Gracie says Celestial Vindicators, but I suspect I need to see the rules for how they play. So Celestial Vindicators off the top of my head are exploding hits. So every hit of a 6 is 2 hits. So they're pretty cool.
They're Goths.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, they are. Oh, that's funny.
Berserk says all my armies survived the changes. Oh wait, I lost 5 guys. That's about it. And then Anonymous Rex had to pick up some Chaos Warriors and some Nighthaunt units. Right, let me move this out the way because I don't want to get paint all over this new battle tome. And let's get the book. If I've left it somewhere, I can reach it. So, what did you want to look at, Andy? Night Heralder.
No.
Oh, glorious book. Night Heralder. Let's see if I can find him for you. Unfortunately, I had to skip through a lot of this on the video because I had 2 videos to record in a night. So yeah, it was a busy one, but hopefully it turned out all right for you guys. Knight Heralder. So we have got. Let me tell you what. Let's move the camera off here, and we'll pop it on there. Can you see that, chaps? So the Knight Heralder, move 5, wounds 5, 3+ save, 8 bravery, Sigmarite broadsword, 3 attacks, 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, -1 rend 2 damage. Fair enough. And then he has Thunderblast. In your shooting phase, you can pick a terrain feature within 18 inches of a unit. Roll the dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of the terrain feature. On a 2+, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. So I think it's actually lost its other ability, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is something that a lot of the units, it's happened to a lot of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's better in combat. I think he used to wound on 4s, and he only had a 4 up armor save, I think.
Yeah.
So in some ways he's gotten better, in some ways he's gotten worse, but...
Yeah, I think that's the key thing. A lot of stuff's changed. Not necessarily better or worse, just different. They do different things now, and a lot of abilities have been like consolidated.
Hmm.
One of my favourite things with the book is the fact that you're not locked into a specific command ability or relic, which I know you've always grumbled about that, Jay, haven't you?
Yeah, that's really excites me actually for what's coming down the line for 3rd edition.
Which probably means a lot of these existing armies are going to be quite different when they get their 3rd edition books.
Yeah.
A lot of command abilities on units are gone as well. Really kind of everything gearing around the generic ones that you've got. So yeah, it's...
But you do get some faction-specific core battalions.
You do. Now, it's nothing to worry about. They're not, everything in this battalion gets +1 to hit or anything. They've got the same abilities as the ones in the main book. It's just different ways to build them.
Right, okay. So there's nothing unique about them. It's just the construction.
Yep, it's the same benefits out of the ones in the core book. It's just the construction of them. So, for example, the Stormcast can have one where if you take 3 to 6 battle line units, troop units, they are a 1-drop. So that's a nice one to maybe combine with one of the other core battalions. So I think a lot of people were worried that it'd be like unique benefits. Nah, that doesn't exist. It's just different ways of getting those same benefits, which is a good way of doing it, I think.
Yeah, it gives every army the same thing, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Because obviously every army's got access to the that come in the General's Handbook, and then you've got access to all the core rulebook stuff. And like you said, the only thing that changes in the Stormcast and the Warclan book is it's tailored more to the units that are in your army, rather than the ones in the core book. Like
exactly.
Sons of Behemoth, for example, couldn't take any in the core book, could they? But they can take their White Dwarf equivalent.
That's right, and they were probably the biggest ones affected by that because, they struggle to actually. Well, they couldn't build any of them. But some armies, the way that you'd play them, those core ones weren't necessarily the best way to build an army for them. So I think it's a nice compromise. It's not the end of the world. The sky isn't falling, so don't worry. What is back are War Scroll battalions, but just for Path to Glory. They don't cost any points. They've not got like bananas bonuses. They have got some bonuses, but more so it's a nice narrative way of theming your army. So yeah, I'm definitely up for us using those in our Path to Glory games as well. Especially since you can take quests to unlock new ones as well. So you can have this unit like fighting together, do a quest to unlock that battalion, and then they get a benefit from it. Which all adds to the narrative of Path to Glory, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's cool.
I've got to say the Path to Glory stuff's really fun as well. So they have added the ability to upgrade heroes. So in the past, there was really no point your general getting experience. Your other heroes could unlock like command traits and stuff, which is fun. But your general never really got anything because there was nothing for him to have once he got up in his renown. Where now, once you've got a certain amount of renown, you can spend a certain amount of glory to give your characters mounts or upgrade them to a better version of a character, which is really cool. So any Stormcast Knight could be upgraded to have one of the new dragon mounts, or your Cruel Boy kill boss could get the I forget what it's called, the weird mount thing out of the Dominion box, and then upgrade him to then get a vulture. So I think that's really cool. I know when we were looking at some of the early lists that we were doing for Path to Glory, you've only got 600 points to start with, but because your general's so important, it seemed a shame to kind of not give him the awesome mount straight away.
Yeah.
Where now it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So for the Lumineth, for example, say if they do get an amazing dragon kit in the future, it could be that your guy on horse can then opt to upgrade for a dragon at a later point.
Yeah, that is cool.
Something else they've added that is new are quests that unlock kind of cinematic missions. So in the core book, a lot of the quests unlock stuff that affects your army building, gives you glory, gives you core battalions, that kind of stuff. Where these special quests, once you've completed them, you get access to one of two kind of, I call them cinematic missions. Basically, these are special one-off missions that you wouldn't normally play, and they're not necessarily balanced, but they're a fun kind of like cinematic showpiece for your armies. So, for example, the Stormcast have got one where they are outnumbered 2-1. Their opponent takes twice as many units as they do, and the Stormcast have to heroically win the day. Which you couldn't do like in a match play game, because it's just imbalanced, is it? The other guy's got twice as many units as you have. But for a cool like showpiece game, that's really cool. There's an Uruk one that they can unlock, where the Uruk army is hunting for monsters to get trophies to display that they're the greatest, because of course they are. So to do that, the opponent's army in this special mission, 1 in 4 units has to be a monster. And again, you don't necessarily have to use the armies that are taking part in that campaign. You just create a cool list that kind of fits the theme of these cinematic battles. And I think that's a really fun thing. They're probably going to be quite tough, and you probably have to level up you guys to do them, but it's almost like a boss battle in a Path to Glory crusade.
Gives you something to aim for, doesn't it? Like a purpose for your crusade.
There's an Orc one where they're basically pillaging a town. They've got to burn down all of the scenery on the board. So yeah, stuff that wouldn't necessarily work as a normal balanced game, but for a one-off cool thing. And if all the armies get these, that means that everyone will at some point in the campaign unlock one of these, gather the friends together, pool your miniatures to make a cool list for them to fight, and see how you get on. So I really like that. I think that's a really fun touch, and it really plays on the narrative side of Path to Glory, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it all sounds good. And now we've kind of got an idea of what we're going to do with Path to Glory, don't we? So
yeah, each of the armies also unlocks their 60 to 66 slots on the territory board as well, which is cool, because we've rolled some of them, haven't we, in our games, and it's like, oh well.
I think in my first one I got it, yeah.
And the Stormcast have cool like geothermic front they use for healing people, so it means that you can re-roll your injury dice without having to spend glory, which is obviously a massive bonus. The Uruk ones are interesting in that all their ones are territories they've stolen off other people, and they don't get the benefit until they do a special quest, pillage or rampage or something it's called, where they've got to take it out and then they get the benefit from it. So there'll be like Dwarden mines and stuff like that. So yeah, it looks like obviously Crusade, the early books as well, didn't have quite as many kind of cool features as the later ones. So if this is what we've got in the early Age of Sigmar books, then imagine what we're going to get once we've got like the campaign supplements and stuff, because I think that's where it's really going to shine, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, looking at the Crusade stuff we've done with the those supplements, I mean, we were playing out of the latest one, weren't we?
We were. We had some quite different missions in there, didn't we?
Yeah. Some of them look a bit, I don't want to say unbalanced, but
There's definitely
very
some that were harder than others. Like the first one that we played, Andy, I think if you didn't kill like 2 units in the first turn, I don't think you could physically win it.
a
Um,
bit for a close combat orc army. It's it's a bit hard to do.
yeah, though I thought the second mission was pretty cool that we played, where
Yeah.
one army had to try and evacuate people using space elevators, and the other, I know both armies
Yeah.
were trying to evacuate people, weren't they?
Yeah.
You got double points if someone managed to evacuate, or that value points if you managed to kill them. I thought that was pretty fun.
I think the only unit that got out of our game, Jay, were my Gretchen, weren't they?
Those grots. I was hunting those grots down. I actually
Ultimate
deep
Grot
strike some.
Town.
I was. That was who I was going after. And I teleported in some Alaris custodians to chase them down, and they got away. I think I killed 8 of them, didn't there? There was 2 left.
2
Yeah.
grots escaped.
2 grots escaped. I thought, oh, it's all right. He won't. They'll stay. They'll wanna get some revenge on the custodians, but they didn't. They abandoned their poor runt herd.
They did what any good Gretchen would do.
I like it. I thought that was suitably narrative. I can see them starting a grot revolutionary army. They've got off the planet.
Well, there was in one of the latest White Dwarfs in like the Tale of Warlord series. There's an orc player, and I think she painted up 90 grots 1 month. And I'm just like, you know what? I would love to do that.
So would I. I've always meant to do like a rebel grot army. Problem is, it's what you run them as. You could run them as an orc army, but especially now, it's hard pressed to imagine a grot with toughness 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe guard's the best choice for them.
Yeah.
Can you not make a grot army out of the orc book?
Yes, but it wouldn't do very well. Like your only
But I mean,
HQ choice is Makari, isn't it?
You're not building a rebel grot army to do well though, surely.
Well, no, but you'd want it to at least be able to play a game.
Yeah. I mean, you've got killer cans, and you've got the big
Artillery.
neck guns. Yeah. So it's not like you've not got a lot, but at the same time, I mean, you could always take like a Gorkanaut or Morkanaut and convert it to have
Yeah.
man in it instead of orcs and stuff, couldn't you? So
You could use like squig hoppers instead of storm boys, maybe.
yeah, that sort of stuff.
There's fun stuff you could do. I mean, you could have like mega armored grots as like orc boys or something like that.
Yeah.
I suppose
Right.
using the Uruk book, got Uruks on the head. Using the orc book gives you the advantage of having some of the wackier technology rather than doing a Count Asgard's army.
Yeah.
So, how do we all get on at Warhammer World? I know I fought you the first game, Andy, and that was certainly an experience.
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, first off, it was an amazing game. It was great fun to play again, obviously, Matt. And we played basically a close combat orc army versus a speed freak army. And my main aim out of that game was to get as much scrap as I could possibly get out of that.
Which I obliged, really, during the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, charging forwards. I think the highlight of the game for me was it turn 1 or turn 2 when you charged the war boss in?
Oh, turn 1. He charged turn 1 with his like 20-inch movement, shot you, then charged.
Oh, the Death Trike, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I overwatched with, was it the killer cans?
Yeah, the killer cans.
And
They
took
got-
him down to 1 wound.
They got like 2 hits on Overwatch, didn't they? It was crazy.
Yeah, 2 hits with the rockets, and then I got like 5 hits with the Scorcher.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, okay, that's gone quite well.
Better than I thought it'd go.
Yeah, better than I thought it would go. It's
See,
like,
the highlight of the game for me was the point where your Mega Knobs and War Boss were very unlucky and just got like obliterated by, I can't remember what, but got obliterated by something. But crucially, the War Boss was there alive on like 2 or 3 wounds, wasn't he?
yeah.
And this Boomdaka Snazwagon comes careening over I use the stratagem for the I forget what it's called, but basically you do a 3d6 charge and then like run over the person that you've charged, and I did enough to take him down to 1 wound, but you managed to save the last one, didn't you?
Yeah, I think he had 3 wounds left, and you did 3 mortar wounds to him, and the pain boy was next to him, and gave him the 6+ shrug damage save. And I made 1, I think, if I remember right. Made 1 save and survived on 1 wound. And then, it was then that I realised that the pain boy could actually heal the war boss.
Yeah. There was a 1 in 6 chance of him injuring the war boss as well, though.
Yes, yeah, which is, very orky.
So, no, that was great. I picture this Boomdacker Snazwagon charging up the board and this war boss just putting his fist out and stopping it. So that was really fun. Your first game was against Dave, Jay. How did that go?
Dave and the ever resurrecting Necron Warriors. You forget how good reanimation protocols can be. Dave had a lot of warriors in his army. So it took me a while for the custodians to actually start getting some damage in. And then he had a what did he take, a Doomsday Arc, is it?
Doomsday Arc.
Yeah, the big laser gun, which was getting some good shots off against the custodian dreadnoughts. But he wasn't. He nearly killed the Telemon. I think he got the Telemon down to about 5 or 6 wounds. Not quite as good as Andy. Andy, well, in my second game, I'll talk about that in a second. And Dave got. I think he was able to get. It was 15 points, because the mission we were playing was there was 2, like a comms array and 2 uplink points, and you had to control the center of the board to keep hold of the comms uplink. Comms array, and then you could get to the 2 uplink points, and if you managed to do a particular action on those uplink points, you got 15 points at the beginning of your next turn. And I was the attacker, so I had to stop Dave from doing that, and I basically got points for equal to the power level of units I killed. But I wasn't able to kill many units in the first half of the game because there was reanimation protocols. It was only in the second half of the game when I managed to shift him off these objectives, and then I was in close combat then, where I was able to do enough damage to get past his reanimation protocols. But it was good. It was a fun game.
It was an interesting mission, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really cool. I'm glad I was the attacker and not the defender in that mission, because I didn't have many units to do the actions with. Yeah.
I wonder if custodians will get something that lets them do actions and shoot, maybe just as a generic kind of ability.
Yeah, they'll probably be able to do 2 actions a turn. And still shoot
and charge twice.
Yeah.
If kill teams are anything to go by. Yeah, no, it was really good. So then second game, it was me versus Dave, and poor Dave. I think it was over by the end of turn 1. So Dave was agonising over where to deploy, because he's like, I don't want you to charge me, and I was like, I can charge you wherever you deploy, Dave. My guys move like 20 inches. And the boards are a lot narrower now, aren't they?
Yeah.
So he decided, I'll just I'll deploy aggressively and hope to get the first turn and start doing some damage that way. Naturally, I think he got the first turn. And moved up and wanted to try and do as much damage as he could before the Orcs started attacking. He managed to take out a truck, which was an odd shot. I thought he'd try and shoot one of my other units, but I think he was trying to kill. Yeah, I think he was trying to kill the mech with shock attack gun.
It's quite a psychological weapon, isn't it? That thing.
It is. It's not very reliable, really, but
no, that's it.
It has got the potential of doing like, I don't know, 36 damage or something if it's lucky. Unfortunately, he didn't kill it. He killed the truck that it was containing, and then my entire army basically drove up, shot him. And I was like, so I get like 30 odd shots for this unit of bikes, but they're not very good at shooting, and then proceeded to roll like 28 5+ers. And
Jeez.
that kind of continued with all my shooting. They'd obviously been training between games because it's the best round of shooting I've ever had with Orcs. And poor Dave's Necrons couldn't weather that. There's no resurrection protocols when you get obliterated by a load of Orc shooting. So yeah. And then they charged in, and then they basically killed most of his army. So I think in the second turn, he had 2 characters in his Doomsday Arc left.
Mm.
So it was a bit of a bloodbath, but I hope he had a fun game. Shooting's not normally that good for orcs, honestly. I'm
No,
not sure
well,
he's convinced.
in both of my games, my battle wagon, which had 4 big shooters, I think it was against Jay. I shot 20 shots, and I think I got 1 hit.
Yeah.
And then I think against you, Matt, I shot the 20 shots and then got 2 hits.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's orc shooting for you.
You can't rely on orc shooting, hence why you get so many shots. And then when the stars align and you do get that ridiculous round of shooting, it's amazing, isn't it? But it's definitely not something you can bank on happening all the time.
No.
Shock Dragster was really good. I think we should mention between the games, in game 1, my mech with shock attack gun actually gained more experience than
I was
my
going to say.
warlord.
Yeah.
So obviously because of that, he had to challenge the war boss for a duel, who promptly drove up to him and killed him, one-shotted him, didn't he? If he'd have managed to hit him with the shock attack gun, he could have potentially done some damage, but the orc warlord was having none of it and took him out. So maybe that's why he was a bit quiet in the second game and didn't do a lot, because he was scared of the war boss battering him again.
Yeah. Doesn't want to get into another fight with the war boss.
Yeah. That's a really fun mechanic. It's really cool. Obviously, we were kind of doing this as a standalone kind of crusade day, but I'm tempted to write it up properly and use that army as my crusade army for the time being. I'd love to do Gene Stealer Cults, but obviously I'm waiting for their codex, aren't I? Because I can see them getting some cool crusade content as well.
Yeah.
Adaptations and stuff like that.
Indomitus Rex says in the chat, I had to pick up some Chaos Warriors and Nighthaunt units. I assume that was in reference to the did your unit survive the changes into Age of Sigmar 3? In fact, I bought a box of Chaos Warriors with 2 hand weapons. So I was going to slot that into my various Chaos armies. And then obviously the Coalition rule came out, which made not count as battle line. And they changed the unit size from 5 to 10. So I bought another box, so I can build another 5 with 2-handed weapons, and that will give me 20. And then the 10 that I've got left over from that box, I'll just build them with shields.
Fair enough.
So.
Yeah, I think my army's got off quite lightly, really, in the change between editions. My Archeon Varangard list, if anything, I think it can take some more stuff now.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, it didn't really affect any of my armies. I think I was quite lucky there.
I've only got 2, maybe 3 armies really. I've got my dwarf army, which that just gets cheaper and cheaper as the years go on. So I think it's probably only about a 1,200 point list now. Although I can add Gotrek to pad it out a bit.
Oh, of course you can, yeah.
The Sylvaneth, I've not written a list actually for Age of Sigmar 3 with the Sylvaneth. I know Alariel's had a bit of a points increase, and I think the Tree Lord Ancient and whatnot have had a points increase because they're that coveted monster hero combination.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about the Dryads and the Tree Revenants. I think they all stayed the same. So I don't think there's too many changes in the Sylvaneth. On the Lumineth side, I'm still mucking about with lists. The units I like, Teclis, Avalanor went up, but everything else sort of stayed the same. So I don't think those lists have changed too much, really.
Yeah, I don't think they've had that many changes, really. If anything, I think you'll only see changes when a new book comes out, whenever that is, which is good.
Yeah.
It means that it's quite a recent book, isn't it? Where I guess it's the older armies where whole mechanics have changed quite a bit, where they've had to recost things and remove things, and a sea of FAQs where you didn't have an FAQ in the the most
No.
recent batch, which suggests there's absolutely nothing wrong with the Lumineth army, Jay. Apparently.
Yeah. There was this weekend they've had a big event up at Element Games called Facehammer, and you can go to like tabletop tier and so all the army lists and stuff. I think there's one Lumineth army with 60 Sentinels in.
Oh God.
It's like
it's a good counter for pretty much everything, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's fairly horrific, that, isn't it? 60 Sentinels. I mean, and you can buff those mortal wounds as well, can't you?
They do them on 5s. They don't need line of sight. They can reroll all wounds.
I don't know what you do against that.
I mean, they are pretty fragile. So if you get the first turn and you look at them, you know, you can get shots on them or charge them. Then they're not going to hang around.
But I guess the Luminous player puts them on the very edge of the board behind scenery where you can't get them.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be very lucky to try and get it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's any good lists out there that are good against shooting armies.
Well, it typically tends to be other shooting armies do well against.
Yeah.
Armies. Like KO typically do very well against that type of Lumineth build.
Yeah, they.
But like, I don't think they need a point increase. I think a unit of Sentinels is a good price. I don't think they're too cheap. It's just the fact you can spam them, and I don't know how you stop that.
You know what the easy thing to do is just remove that don't need line of sight rule.
Yeah, I think the mortal wounds realistically should only be on, because they get two types of shooting, don't they? They get like a short range shot and then a long range shot.
Yeah.
And I think the mortal wounds should only be on that short range shot that requires line of sight. I think if you take that off, then they still have the ability to shoot something that they can't see at long range.
But they can't do mortal wounds to it.
Yeah, we can't do mortal wounds to it, yeah. And I think that's how you get them to the point where they are good.
But that's self-balancing then, because you've got to expose them if you want to deal a mortal wound, which then at least gives the opponent something to counter them, doesn't it?
Yeah. I was thinking about this today, actually. I think a lot of the things with shooting in Age of Sigmar, I think it's just for range.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because the new Vigilers, the new shooting unit in the Stormcast Eternals, have only got an 18-inch range.
Yeah.
2 shots each. I think it's 3s and 3s minus 1 rend, 1 damage. So they're not. They're good, but they're not the most like over-the-top shooting unit. But what the benefit of those is, if you wound something with it, the rest of your army gets +1 to wound for the rest of the +1 to hit. Sorry, for the rest of the turn, which is really good. So you use those to kind of like tee up some of your combats later on. You can use them to improve some of your other shooting units. Yeah, I quite like them. So like the Lumineth, for example, they've got quite a few minuses to hit abilities. So what they can do is shoot your Avalanor first and negate that, which is pretty fun. They are, however, 195 points for 5. I mean, how much is a unit of Sentinels?
I think they're 150 for 10.
So yeah, and they do the mortal wounds and stuff. Obviously, they're different armies doing different abilities, aren't they? But it's hard to compare points across armies, really, isn't it? Because points factor in all the various buffs and other units that you've got as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if shooting was shorter range, it'd force those shooting armies to get closer, and it would also give combat units a bit of a buff in the sense that your opponent would be charging towards you to try and get to those shooting units, but they'd have to go through those combat units first. So I don't think the shooting would really lose anything.
No, and you've got some kind of built-in defences now with Unleash Hell as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I think one of the guys who was down at Facehammer this weekend, who's part of the Purple Sparkly Unicorns, he's got 2 salamanders in his list.
Oh yeah.
And he was saying a lot of people still forget about Unleash Hell with the salamanders.
Yeah, they're pretty tasty, the salamanders.
Yeah. seeing all this sort of stuff, like the new Stormcast book and the Warhammer book, it's got me super pumped for Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, well, we started our Path to Glory crusade a while ago, but we haven't done any games in the last few weeks because we've really just been holding on for those new battle tomes. Because I think me and Dave will probably use these two as our main army. I imagine if a Nurgle book comes out in October, Andy, you'll probably be doing the same.
Oh yes.
So what we're going to do is, I think, scheduled next Saturday. Don't put it in your diary yet, just need to confirm. But I think we'll be doing Stormcast versus Orks match play. Just to show off 2,000 points using the new armies, just to show off all the cool stuff. And then from the following week, what we'll probably do is look to start, or kind of restart, the Throndia campaign that we've been running on the YouTube channel. So, and you can watch it on Twitch as well if you're watching on here. So that'll be fun, and I'm hoping by then we might have a hint of the first Path to Glory supplement. I think we already had it at this point for 40k.
It was pretty quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there's 6 missions in the core book, and we've exhausted them pretty quickly. I mean, it's fun to play them again, but one of the nice things about 40k was there was like 20-30 missions to play through, wasn't there? At launch?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and that was just for Crusade. So hopefully we get the same for, just to add some variety, and again some of the upgrades and stuff that older armies that haven't got battle tomes yet can use, because there's some fun stuff in the new battle tomes. Right, we are about an hour into the stream. Let's have a little pause and see how we are doing. Let me pop this paint down and clean my brush. I managed to do the gold. I made a bit of a mess with some of these. I just need to go back in with the base Stegodon green, is it? Stegodon turquoise, something like that, on these Dracolines, and blocking the bits where I've got gold on them.
Let's have a look.
So let me switch over to my camera. So this is how they're looking. I've managed to make a few splodges here or there, but the idea is getting these guys kind of battle ready for the stream. I mean, to be fair, blocking the other colours and they're going to be fine for the stream, and then I can just work on bringing these up. So I need to paint the inside of the cloak and the crest and the reins, base them, and he'll be alright for a stream, to be fair. They are going to get fully painted properly, but my logic is you can't really see it when it's a couple of foot away on the camera on the battlefield. So as long as it's gold in all the right places, red in all the right places, we're not looking too bad, are we? So yeah, a little bit of work on those guys. Oh, we've got Lost in the Mortal Realms in the chat over on Twitch. Evening, you legends. Just finished listening to your back catalogue and I've now listened to every episode of the podcast. What's that, 152? 153?
Wow.
There's been a lot of them. Keep up the good work. I think your podcast is proper ace and run by a great bunch of lads. Well, thank you very much, Lost in the Mortal Realms. I am glad you've enjoyed it. It's this is just something that we do as a bit of fun, really, isn't it? It's not a business venture as some. We don't charge for any kind of Patreon or behind the scenes access. Everything that you watch is all free through the website. So we do it as hobbyists, for hobbyists to enjoy. So thank you very much for listening, and hope you stick around and watch some of the stream. We do this mostly Sunday.
Yes,
we do stream
most Sundays, isn't it?
Yeah, and we try and stream a battle on a Saturday as well. Obviously, resource allowing. So yeah, it's been fun. Jay, let me switch to you next. How are you getting on with the Lion?
Yeah, pretty good. I don't know if you're going to be able to see on the camera. So I'm following Louise Sughammer from was it Louise Sugden? Warhammer TV, the masterclass. She recently did a Black Armor on Warhammer Plus. I don't know if anyone subscribes to Warhammer Plus. The masterclass tutorials I'm actually enjoying a lot. At first, I sort of dismissed them because I thought it's not real. It's above my painting level. The stuff she does it's incredible. So I didn't think I'd get much value out of it because I didn't think I'd be able to do it. And I mean, I'm not saying here that these are masterclass level painting by any stretch, but the videos are really easy to follow. So I'm just having a go. Because you just try it. And so I'm working on the black armor here using her guide. I've done a bad and black all over. Then I've done a chunky highlight, which is something I'd never normally do either, of a mix of Incubi Darkness and a bad and black. And now I'm on my first edge highlight of pure Incubi Darkness. So I've just done that on all the black armor. So I'm about to now move on to these backpack as well. About to move on to the next highlight, which I believe is, I've written it all down, Thunderhawk Blue. So this one goes all over as well. So hopefully I'll get that done. It's not taking too long, really. Normally when I paint black armor, I tend to put like a brown wash into the recesses, but I've not done that on this guy. So we'll see how he comes out.
Cool. Have you done the kind of? She's got some cool light reflections up the legs. Are you doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I am, but I'm doing that at the end. So she did it straight away on the panel. It looked really nice. Now, unfortunately, on this guy, the panels have got all this like banding across it, so I can't get that nice straight line. On the back, I can, but he has a big cloak that goes over the back, so there's not much point doing it on the back. Only his sort of forearms here, there's perhaps some scope to do something on the elbow joints maybe, so I'm going to come back and do that afterwards if I can. But yeah, it was really nice how she did it. I'm definitely going to do it on the Black Templars, I think. It just depends how long it takes, because normally I'd probably paint black, I've got to paint like 20-30 Marines. I don't know if I could do it to this, this many layers on each individual troop.
For your kind of centerpiece models, though, it's cool, though, isn't it?
Well, that's it. For a Primarch, go that extra mile, I think. So yeah, so we'll see what he looks like when he's finished the black armor. I'm looking forward to doing the Pterodon turquoise glaze.
Yeah. Well, in the chat, Gracie just said, "I like the final glaze washing the black armor video, which adds a bluish tinge." Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it looks really, really good. I kind of want to try it myself on something. Maybe Abaddon.
Abaddon, yeah.
Yeah, because obviously my Chaos Space Marine's been doing is word bearers, but I have got Abaddon to paint up. My Sons of Horus, the black, I've used a gloss through the airbrush, which kind of cheats because you get the highlights naturally from the sheen of the gloss. Gracie Ross says, I subscribe and I'm an average painter, but there's some good little hints and tips in the Masterclasses video. Yeah, I think with practice anyone will be able to achieve those. I used the face one on, and again I haven't got them to hand actually. Let's grab him. The two witch hunters, the Vendensts. Let's see if you can see these. So I finished these off today and used her face guide for the faces on these, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. I didn't do the pupils. I don't know. I've gone for more, like comic book look for the eyes, but then a dark gritty style for the rest of it. And I kind of want to do a full kind of army in this kind of darker scheme. The only thing that's putting me off is, are we going to get a Dawnbringer Crusade army come out at some point? Yeah, which obviously because a lot of those kits are very old now, aren't they? The Cities of Sigmar stuff.
Yeah, they are.
And just some basic infantry that kind of match this kind of aesthetic could be really cool, like swordsmen, and maybe like imagine a unit of dismounted knights in the same style as the paladin woman out of the Curse City box.
Curse City.
And
yeah, that'd be
like
something.
Crossbow people armed like her, or with like all the trench coats and stuff. I think that'd be really ace. Might not happen, but I've got a feeling it might do. Andy, I've switched the camera over to you. You are painting. Is that a runt herd?
Yeah, I'm painting a runt herd. Still getting the base colours down on him. I've just got the Xandri dust to do on all the sort of like straps and stuff, and then I'm going to go back over his skin at some point, and I've got all the sort of metallic bits to do. But thankfully, he's not got a huge amount of metallic bits on him. Then I've got the Pain Boy. I've undercoated him with Death Guard Green now. So again, once I've got the base colours done on this runt herd and giving them a wash, I'll start getting onto the Pain Boy. And I've also built the Slopper
Again, another model with a great name, isn't it?
Yeah, put a little skull on his base with the singing Nurgling, so he'll get primed at some point this week.
Ace. That's another top 3 potential, isn't it? Best names in Warhammer. Speaking of top 3, Anonymous Rex says, when's the next top 3? Now, I did ask Dave to put a tweet out at 8, but maybe he's not seen it, or he's collapsed in bed because he's been in London all weekend. The top 3 is top 3 models, or top 3 units, sorry, from the Uruk War Clans and the Stormcast Eternals. I will get a tweet out as soon as this stream is over with the details on. So if you want to hold fire and reply to that, or stick it on there but tag it with something that I can see, otherwise I'll miss it tomorrow when we do the podcast. So your best bet, in 50 minutes when this is finished, we'll whack it on. Vulnerable Gamer 4 says, sorry guys, a bit late to the stream. How was Warhammer World? You don't need to answer if you've already chatted about it. We have chatted about it, but I don't mind talking about it because we haven't really gone too much into it really, other than the games. It was really fun. It was really, really good being back at Warhammer World. We only managed to play 2 games, but that also included a trip around the museum, Bugman's for lunch, and
Shopping trip.
Shopping trip. I managed to resist more than I thought I would. Jay, you bought a couple of goodies, didn't you?
Yeah, what did I buy? I bought a Javelin Speeder for my Blood Angels, my 30k Blood Angels force. They only had one in, and they were repackaging it, so it was underneath all the boxes had gone, but the chap found one for me underneath the shelves, and that was it. I was going to pick up the Imperial Fist Praetor, but then as we were walking around the museum, Dave decided he was going to do Imperial Fist for the Horus Heresy, so I skipped that. I didn't get them, so I didn't spend as much as. Although actually, then on the way home in the car, I did order a tank as well. I can't remember what the name of it is now. The like mortar tank. It's like the plague-based crawler, but a good one.
A good plague-based crawler, yeah. So now there was talk of you getting rid of your Dark Angel stuff. I guess that's no longer the case if you're frantically painting up the Primarch.
Yeah, well, I ordered the because I thought Dave was going to do Ultramarines, see, and I've got my Blood Angels, so I've nearly finished the Blood Angels. The plan is to get them. I've got the Javelin Speeder. I want to try and get another Javelin Speeder and some Tactical Marines, so I can get them painted ready for when we do get a new version of the Horus Heresy. And then I was going to order I have ordered the Ultramarines Praetors because I just think they're incredible models. And I was sort of thinking, maybe I'll do Ultramarines then. If we get the new plastic set, I'll get paint all them blue and do all the tanks and stuff blue. But then, I don't know. I mean, I thought, well, I'll get this guy done today so I can practice on black. I won't get this guy painted anyway, the Lion. And then as I was sort of getting this guy ready to go, I did start basing these Interemptors, which are the plasma guys, and they are really nice models.
I think you should do Dark Angels. I think they're cool.
Yeah, I'll give it a try. I mean, the Praetors, because they're quite big models, we saw the Imperial Fist ones in the cabinet at Forge World, and they are almost Primaris sized. I'm thinking I'm going to use them in my 40k Ultramarines army as captains and chapter master. Because obviously Trueborn Marines now are the equivalent of Primaris, really, wounds and attacks and whatnot. And they're really nice models. So I don't know, Matt. Blood Angels definitely, and maybe I will stick with the Dark Angels. I am enjoying painting this guy, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm not decided yet.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty much settled on word bearers, just because they're cool.
Argo
Tal on the way, yeah. So I was looking. So he's interesting. His rules are up, and he unlocks the Gore Valbracca's battle line troops, whatever you call them in Heresy. Now, there's a bit of a double-edged sword because all the demon units are unable to contest objectives on the grounds that they're the demons. But I'd still happily do a kind of possessed heavy army because I think that would look amazing and very, very different to other like Heresy armies.
Yeah, I did wonder how that interacted with it because I thought, well, the only advantage of taking troops really is that you can contest objectives, but then they can't. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's something we're not seeing.
It helps for list building, for thematic wise, if you want to do a fully possessed army.
Yeah, your compulsory troops can be Gal Vorbeck, yeah.
So I'll probably do that. The word bearers list is quite different to some of the other marine ones. There's some restrictions. You've got to take a Diabolist, which is a special. Basically, he's the guy who's talking to the demons and put them into your marines. So you have to take one of them. Now, thankfully, both Zardu Lyak and Erebus both have that relevant keyword on them. So you can use those as your Diabolist. You also need to take a Chaplain as part of your compulsory HQs, of which Erebus has the correct keywords as well.
Alright, cool.
So basically, I can take the 3 core named characters, so Zardu Lyak, Erebus, and Argo Tal. That unlocks both of the unique word-bearer units as troops. So what I'd probably do is get a load of Galvorbet, get some of the like corrupted dreadnoughts and stuff, and then use the Marines out of the new starter box as some normal kind of troops Marines for holding objectives. So it'll be quite an elite army in that most of my points will be taken up with these kind of possessed units and stuff. But yeah, I feel I do need some normal Marines in there.
I think you do as well, because obviously we've got Primarchs and monsters and things walking around, so you need some grunt, don't you, to remove as casualties each turn.
The good thing about the Diabolist is that at the start of the game you pick a unit and you can give it a boon of chaos. One of which is it can turn you into a demon as well. So, it swings and roundabouts. Oh,
excellent. I shall be back in a second. My Google alarm's going off.
Oh.
This is. When I come back, I'll tell you what this Google alarm is for.
That's very cryptic, isn't it? So yeah. So in short, we had a good time at Warhammer World. Did you enjoy it, Andy?
I always enjoy a trip to Warhammer World. Even the drive's nice.
Even the drive's nice.
Driving back's nice. Trip around the museum is obviously always nice. There's a big Ossiarch Bone Reaper diorama in the middle of the Age of Sigmar room.
Yeah, there is.
It's still like I'm not gonna lie. When I went into the shop after towards the end of the day, I went over to the Bone Reaper bit and I bought myself the Soul Reaper and the Soul Mason.
Nice.
And I very nearly bought Catacross as well, but I was like, nah, it's going to take a while to paint, and I've got all these orcs to paint at the minute, so I held off on Catacross, which is quite a lot of restraint on my part.
I was impressed with the restraint I showed, because it's rare I'll go to Warhammer World and not buy a load of stuff, let's face it.
Yeah.
But I thought, no, I think I said on the podcast, I want to try and get some of the backlog done. So I did pick up this unit of Fulminators, mostly because I wanted them done for the battle report. I could have easily bought a load of stuff, Andy. I was looking at Necromundus. So we saw Peachy while we were in there. He popped over to say hello, and we're going to do like a one-day Necromunda campaign in Warhammer World. Me, Dave, Peachy, Andy, Jay, if you want to join us as well, just to have some fun narrative games of Necromunda. What we thought, Peachy's going to bring down all this scenery, and then we're going to miss some gold on these guys. Then we're going to I've got all of the bounty hunters and kind of a lot of the special characters painted up, so we'll have a pool of special characters that you'll be able to kind of buy with credits during the game, but then if another player wants them, they could outbid them and get them to join their force. So yeah, some fun stuff like that. We'll see how it goes. The problem with Warhammer World, isn't it? You plan all these elaborate stuff, but then it's time to actually do it in the real world, isn't it? So we just have to be punchy with the games to try and get through some. But even if we only get through a few, it's still really fun, isn't it? Like we were hoping to get through 3 games, weren't we? This Wednesday just gone, and only managed to get through 2, but it didn't, take away from the experience, did it?
No, I mean, this is it. I'd rather get 2 games in and not have to rush lunch and walk around the museum, and even like going into the shop and buying stuff. I wouldn't want to rush any of that just to get a 3rd game in.
Yeah, I think what's historically when we've gone in the past, Warhammer World's open till 10, isn't it? And they're actually, I think they're doing late night weekends now. They put on their Facebook page today, which is cool.
Yes.
And then they're looking at getting the late night weekdays back, but they haven't got details yet. So I reckon give it a couple of weeks and we might be back to normal. They've also put some more tables in the hall. Got to say, it was the COVID restrictions were pretty good, weren't they? All the tables were really spaced out. Staff were wearing masks. They encouraged wearing masks inside, but obviously it's not a legal requirement anymore. But I think most people did, didn't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was really good. They had a couple of the showpiece tables out at the back, and I think yesterday they announced that another 3 have come back to the hall as well, and that's in addition to the tables they've currently got. So I think they're just testing the waters, aren't they? Easing it in slowly rather than putting it all back in one go, which is probably the best approach, because you never know when, all of a sudden there's an announcement and we're back in lockdown again. So I think they're just conscious of make sure everything's definitely all right, and then just slowly bring things back to normal. The I forget what it's called now. The big bridge board is now back, and you can book
our
that for
favourite
games. Yeah, that is our absolute favourite board at Warhammer World. So I think we might need to do some Heresy on there at some point, guys.
Yeah, that was our first board we used at Warhammer World when we went, and it was Heresy we played.
It was, yeah. It's all coming full circle. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be end of the year probably, Jay.
Yeah. We normally go, don't we, in between New Year and Christmas?
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll have some Horus Heresy rules. If not, we'll find something to play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not hard to find cool stuff to play at Warhammer World, is it? You guys in the chat, have you been to Warhammer World recently? I know a lot of our listeners are abroad and can't make it. Would you like to go? Have you been before? Have you been into any tournaments there? What was your favourite bit? Berserk says, the alarm was for drying models in an oven.
Oh, no.
Wow.
The alarm.
No,
The
he's
alarm.
done that to trigger me.
Why? What have you done, Andy?
No, so years ago, I think Jason was painting some Space Walls, and he'd done like a homemade, I think it was his bases, and he wanted to dry them, and so what he did was he put them in the oven on a low heat. And needless to say, I was a bit like, you put models in the oven?
Yeah.
You absolute mental person. So I think that's a bit of an inside joke there.
Right. Fair enough.
No, I've not put any models in the oven, Andy, you'll be pleased to hear.
Thank God.
But it is model related.
Oh.
So, I had an urge. Sometimes you get these urges, don't you? And I think we were talking about them on the podcast last week. Battlefleet Gothic.
Oh yeah.
And not on the podcast, on the painting stream last week. And I've got a lot of Eldar Corsair upstairs that I've had for years. I bought them all new back in the day. They've had, as I found out, a few paint jobs on them over the years. I thought, right, I'm going to strip them down and paint them up, give them a proper paint job now. And I know my brother's got a big orc fleet. I thought we can have some games with my brother. So I have been stripping them from paint. So that alarm that was going off then was I've got some of the Forge World released a few Battlefleet Gothic ships over the years, and they did for the Corsair Eldars as well. They released the Aurora Light Cruiser and the Solaris Light Cruiser. So I've got 3 of those in a tub with some brown Dettol, stripping all the paint from them. This weekend I've done all my metal ones, and it's worked really well. So they soaked for 4 hours. Then I spent about an hour and a half scrubbing them all because I've got a lot of models. And then they went in the tub again for another 4 hours, and then there was another hour and a half. Well, not an hour and a half, probably an hour scrubbing them all again. All the metal ones are all stripped now, ready for the next stage where I need to. So they've got the old plastic stands which have all snapped on them. So I need to drill out the plastic bit that's left in them, and then knock up a new stand for them all. And then whilst all that was going on, the resin ones were soaking as well. So that's the resin ones that have been in for another 4 hours. So they've had 8 hours worth of soaking now, so they'll be done. And Brown Dettol worked fine on the Forge World resin as well. So
Cool.
So yeah, so the next day, this week maybe, perhaps on the painting stream next week, I'll start painting some Eldar Battlefleet Gothic.
That'd be really cool. I was thinking you should do a bit of a blog, take some photos, and do a bit.
Yes, I have. Yeah, I've been taking some pictures, so I will do that then. Yeah, I'll get something up on the site.
A lot of people like Battlefleet Gothic. It's a very loved game, isn't it? With good reason.
Yeah.
Pace.
Yeah, there's lots of good resources online. There's some good Facebook groups and whatnot for it. And I know me and my brother, we love it. We used to play a long time ago. So he's really excited. He got all his Orc stuff out today. Now he knows that I'm working on the Eldar.
I kind of want to play some Gothic as well. I wonder if I've got. No, I got rid of all mine. Have you got your Imperial fleet still, Jay?
No, I sold my Imperial fleet because it was a fleet I'd bought off eBay. So I didn't have the attachment. I bought it wanting to play a load of games, and I just never did. And I had it for a few years and never used it. So I thought, well, I'm just going to sell it because it was worth a lot of money, really.
Yeah.
But the Corsair Eldar, which was one I've bought myself over the years, I just didn't want to sell. It's like, even though I'm not using it, and even though I had rubbish paint job because I painted it when I was a kid, I didn't want to get rid of that because I really like the Eldar Corsair fleet. But now, so I've stripped them now. They're like brand new. So
I'm excited to see you do them in a modern scheme. Imlock, you thinking?
Yeah, I think I'm going to match them with my Craft World. So I know they're not Craft World Eldar, but I think I will try and match them with my Craft World scheme. So like a greyish hull with the orange paneling, and then the sails I think I'm going to make like white. I think, I'm not sure yet. And then the weapons as well can be white as well.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm super keen to see what you do with these, Jay, because like I say, I love a bit of Battlefleet Gothic.
Well, hopefully I'll have some updates this week for us.
Speaking of Battlefleet Gothic, that segues quite nicely. Have either of you seen this week's Lore Master yet?
No.
Madden?
Yeah.
I my watch list. I do like Chaos.
It's very good. Wade's a great narrator, taking us through the history of Abaddon, the Despoiler, and obviously the Gothic War is part of that video, Jay.
Yeah, all these Black Crusades.
Yeah, so yeah, but definitely worth a watch. Berserk says PVA and caster sugar for snow effects. Must be related to your oven thing. Anonymous Rex would want to go, but it would be more to tour around and look. I'll have to learn to play before I go to the tournament. You know what? Throwing schools or something like that, I'd say is perfectly fine for a new player.
Yeah.
It's not a super competitive event. Everyone's super, friendly. Say if we were having a game, I'd make sure that you've done all the steps that you need to do first. It's a bit of a different kind of mindset, isn't it?
Yeah. The only thing I would say, from my own personal experience, if you're new to the game, let your opponent know at the beginning, especially at a Throne of Skulls. People aren't going to be like, oh, okay, this is a new guy, I'm going to cheat, whatever. They're going to be like, okay, this is a new guy, he might forget some rules, I'm going to help him.
Yeah, and they'll talk you through like what you need to do and things that you might not have thought of. Yeah,
and I mean, for my own personal experience over the years, a good sport isn't one. A good sport ultimately is someone who you enjoy playing against for whatever reason. But there's loads of ways to be a good sport, and one of them is just to be clear and understanding with your opponent.
Yeah.
Especially if you're, like I said, I went to a 40k event up at Warhammer World back in, I think it was 7th edition now, and I hadn't played 40k in about 2 years, and I literally just went up to each opponent, beginning of the game, I haven't played 40k in 2 years, so if I make any mistakes or anything like this, I am brand new, and everyone was dead understanding. People were like, if you deploy your units big or clumped together, I've got a large blast template. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. But I completely forgot because I didn't have any in my army. Yeah. Just little things like that. I've been to a few Game of Thrones now, so that's quite a few games over all of them. And I've had a single game I've not enjoyed.
All the others have been amazing games against great opponents. We've both come out of the game having a great time, had a bit of a chat afterwards. It's been a nice way of meeting other people who play Warhammer as well. Like me and you played. Was that our first game we've ever had, Andy? Of Throne of Skulls.
Oh, I know
Maybe
we
not.
played.
Maybe not. We've played a few times before then. Maybe.
I think we played that the PSU event when you were using your Idoneth.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
I can't remember if that was before or after.
Maybe it was before. But yeah, Andy, for example, during the event, you were trying to do a bit of a what was it? It was not a resolution, was it?
Yeah, so I mean, my hobby resolutions, obviously, because I've only joined the podcast fairly recently, have been slightly different to you guys. And I had 4 for like painting, gaming, reading, and general hobby. But one of them for gaming, I wanted to see what a game would be like if there wasn't a double turn in the game. So one of my hobby resolutions was to go to a 2-day Age of Sigmar event and never voluntarily, because obviously your opponent can give you the double turn, never voluntarily take the double turn at an event. And it was, I'll tell you what, it was actually very exciting, because I think there was your game and there was another game where if I had taken the double turn, more so in the other game than our game, but I think if I'd taken the double turn, I think it would, we probably could have called it there.
Yeah.
So yeah, not taking the double turn, and like one of my opponents, I think there's a guy called Tom, and he was running Stormcast, and we rolled for priority, and I won it, and his initial reaction was, "Well, you've just won the game," and I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "Oh, because you're going to take the double turn and do X, Y, and Z, and I can't stop you." And I was like, "I know, that's why I'm not going to take it." And he was like, "What?" And I didn't tell him until after our game that I was doing this hobby resolution. I just said to him, I'm not going to take the double turn because of that reason. I don't want a game that I auto win. I want a game that I have to work for it. It makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, my hobby resolution, it's just it came because I started going to like GTs and independent events and all this sort of stuff, and started taking really competitive lists. And then I just got to that stage where I would try so hard and I wouldn't get, wasn't really getting closer to podium at events and stuff like that. So I kind of just thought, if I go to an event and I lose all 5 games, can I still enjoy that? And the hobby resolution was kind of one of the ways of doing that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Well,
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think going into when I start going back to events and stuff, I'm going to do that sort of stuff a bit more, like looking at Blades of Corn. I think Blades of Corn, if you go to an event and you say, "Oh, I'm going to aim to get 40 blood type points by the end of the event," for example, you're not too bothered if your stuff's getting absolutely massacred because you're getting closer to that target.
Yeah, well, I did something similar with before Archeon was good, and you had the Ever Chosen Battle Tome, which wasn't great at the time, was it? I'd a bit of a self-set resolution myself where I didn't care how many games were won or lost. My goal for the event was get as many souls stuck in the sword as possible.
And this is it. I mean, you look at 40k. One of the things that I really like about 40k, and they've sort of introduced it into Age of Sigmar a little bit, is there's different ways of scoring points.
Yeah.
It's not about killing your opponent or sitting on objectives. I mean, for Age of Sigmar, it kind of is about sitting on objectives. But by introducing secondaries and battle tactics and stuff like that, you can get some extra VPs by doing something different. I think there's a website actually called Warhammer. I want to say it's called Warhammer Achievements.
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
And they do a bunch of different things to get points when you go to an event.
Yeah.
So there's one called a Highlander achievement, which is amazing, where basically you can't duplicate a war scroll in your army.
Oh, that's cool.
So you have to take, just one of everything sort of thing, like old school White Dwarfs when they used to see armies back in the day in White Dwarf in battle reports where we didn't duplicate units or they don't.
It'd be made up of the studio armies and they only have one unit painted up for it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, stuff like that. Again, it just gives you another way to play, and again, going forward with Age of Sigmar, I think that's how I'm going to be playing my games at events, and that way you can whatever table you're on, can't you? So
yeah, that sounds cool to me. Before I forget, massive thanks to Ejamo, who's just followed. Hope you are enjoying the stream. Berserk saying that just an opinion now, but Throne of Skulls better than GT. I was of the same as Andy in that regard. Competitive army building became a really bad thing for me, and I decided to cut back and enjoy the hobby instead of rushing my armies to chase the meta. Yeah, I've always argued that the hobby comes first. It's nice to win games, but I don't know. I'd rather take a fun list for my opponent to play rather than a cheese fest.
Yeah,
that's not going to be fun for anyone involved, is it?
No, well, this is it. I mean, I'm looking at my Bone Reapers, and I don't think I'd want. I think there was a list kicking around with 4 Mortek crawlers in it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd ever do that. I know Jay, you've said in the past, haven't you, that you wouldn't go for Sentinel spam.
No, well, I'm not even taking Sentinels to the Purple Sparkle Unicorns event. I tend to get on most with armies that I just like more, which is why I like Lumina Ferocia, which is why I'm not like running out the door to pick up Stormcast or Orks. And I like the units that I like rather than I don't know. I think the meta changes that often that you'd be forever building and using different lists, and that's just not where I get my enjoyment. So what's good today isn't going to be good when the next General Handbook comes out anyway, and then you're not playing with the same. Like I really like the Avelenor and the Stoneguard models for the Lumineth, so I'm taking them. They might be good this time, they might not be very good next time, but it's just in things. I mean, people who play the tournaments and stuff, that's part of the fun, isn't it? Tuning lists, tweaking lists, countering other lists and looking at the meta and things. But, I mean, I go to a tournament once every 6 months or something like that. So Warhammer's, it's not about the tournaments for me, really. It's just about building an army that I like to use.
It's more of a social thing for us, the tournaments, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just an excuse to, roll some dice, meet some people, have a laugh, really.
I mean, I would sometimes use a tournament as an excuse to try and get an army painted, and we've done little hobby challenges and things like that.
We tend to, if we know that we're doing a tournament, we'll tend to paint up an army for it, won't we? It's a bit of a, if anything, website content, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's.
I think before lockdown, that was my primary reason for building and painting the models that I was. It was to paint them for an event and stuff. And then with lockdown happening, it was kind of just like, okay, I'm just going to paint the models that I've got to get them painted. And I painted up the Spoilpox Scrivener for my Maggotkin. Not at the time, like Broken Realms tech list hadn't come out, so it didn't have the update, so it's still a bit rubbish. But I painted up because I had it, and I think during lockdown I kind of enjoyed painting my armies and my models and stuff just to paint them rather than rushing them for an event. I know, like my Disciples of Tzeentch, I rushed that in about a month to get that all painted for an event. Absolutely loved the army. And I haven't played it in a while, unfortunately, but I spent lockdown going back over that and updating the painting, doing dry brushes and layers and stuff like that. And I know obviously like the lockdown's been rubbish and what have you, but in terms of hobbying, that's kind of like the silver lining.
Andy with the controversial lockdowns have been pretty good. I've got my armies painted.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. It's it's allow people to paint for the joy of painting rather than trying to rush to get that tournament force done. And we've done it for I think I mentioned it last week. We've done it for reviews and stuff where we've absolutely hammered. Indomitus last year, I think we both painted our respective halves in like 3 days, didn't we, Jay?
Yeah.
And that is tough going and does burn you out, and certainly can do a whole project like that. There's a bit of a, I guess, discipline to that, isn't there? Where the same model. So when I did the Dominion set and painted up the Stormcast, so I'd have them ready for the videos. But then I had a second box that I'd bought and took my time painting those ones, just because I wanted to enjoy the process rather than just rush through it.
This is the thing with Games Workshop now. So obviously they're catering more to all kinds of hobbyists a lot more now than they did like 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Now you can just paint your army to a battle ready standard. And they're encouraging you to do that, to get it to that battle ready standard, so that you can just play games with it.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Painting can be intimidating, can't it? You pick up a kit like Jay. You're painting a Primarch. It's an expensive kit. The ones that you see online are all like Golden Demon quality. It's like, oh crikey, where do I even start with this? And that's a big hurdle to jump. I know it's something Dave's not on the show, but that's something Dave's always struggled with in the past. And then kind of came to the realization that actually no, I paint for me. I paint it how I like it. I paint it how I'm comfortable. Dave loves contrast, and that's been an amazing way of getting armies done so they look good on the tabletop and still to a good standard, but without having to necessarily shade and highlight everything, because the properties of contrast does that for you. It's opened things up for the community way more than when we started painting, where, I mean, arguably there wasn't even painting guides. There was a picture of an undercoated model, a list of paints, and then the Golden Demon kind of studio model at the end, and like, okay, well, I'm not sure how that's meant to happen, but whatever. It's certainly come on a long way, hasn't it?
Yeah. Super good times as well for us at the minute, obviously. I'm super excited for the Stormcast War Clan book.
Oh, it's so good. It's War Clan.
War Clan, yeah.
Battletome War Clan would be good, though.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
So yeah, it's really cool. Both those books are really fun as well. If you haven't already, I'll whack in the chat the links to the 2 articles on those. 2 seconds. They were really fun to read. I've covered mostly the new stuff on these. There are quite a lot of changes in both books. On the whole, really, it's stuff getting removed, so unique command abilities and stuff on the whole are gone.
I was going to say they've changed the what's it, like the temples and storm hosts and stuff like that. Now it's just a special rule, isn't it?
It is, yeah, which I much prefer, because it means that you're not kind of locked into it's something that it's come up in the past when we've been doing projects where you don't really want to take the army specific relic that you have to, and sometimes that can make you not want to do that particular sub-faction because of it, which is never fun, is it? So I much prefer, here's a like generic special rule that you get access to, and then you can pick your own relic, you can pick your own command trait, you can pick your own command ability. That's a much better way of doing it, and hopefully it means that we see a bit of variety. Something that I mentioned in the review is that both of these books You've got so much choice for battle line options. You're no longer restricted into what units you have to take, which is really, really cool. I'd prefer to be able to take the models that I like rather than models that I have to. And I think you guys are the same, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like in the Stormcast book, there must be about 10 different units you can take as battle line, depending on which kind of sub-faction you've picked. So all these like Dracothian guys here are battle line in a Hammers of Sigmar army, which is amazing. All the like paladins and annihilators and the guys with the two-handed weapons, I forget what they're called, they are battle line in a Knights Excelsior army. But if you like the Vanguard stuff, you can take the Storm Host that unlocks those as battle line, giving you loads more options. And I hope it's something that we see in the other books. Like, it wouldn't surprise me, Andy, if there's a faction that has what are they called, the Blight drones as battle line in a particular build.
Yeah, I super hope that is, especially because again, it's a way of combining that narrative aspect with a match play rule. Just giving you a certain storm host that's famous for using blight drones, but only in that faction of a battle line sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly, and that might weigh out another kind of combat benefit that they've got elsewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the future's looking promising. There's been a bit of doom and gloom on these new battle tomes, but I really like them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've only seen sort of like the initial stuff. No one's played games with them yet, but I think one of the things that has me really excited is just how nothing seems to jump out as being, 20 bow snake or 15 bow snakes with Marathi, which look like Facehammer. Most Daughters of Cain armies there had 15 bow snakes with, I think, Bloodstalkers are we called?
Bloodstalkers and Blood Sisters are the common ones, aren't they? Did they throw Gotrek in there too, just for lols?
Yeah, some of them did, yeah. And, looking at those armies, there's nothing in either of those battle tomes that jumps out to me as being that much of an auto take.
No. The dragons, the dragons are strong. The battle line dragons.
I think they're strong, but again, they're low model count army.
Exactly.
So you lose two, it's a big thing, isn't it?
Well, this is it, and they've done some interesting things with basic troops in both books actually. So both books have got ways of manipulating with units that hold battle line. So if you go for a Stormkeep army, your basic kind of like infantry combat guys, so your spear guys, your sword guys, your liberators, all of those in a Stormkeep army are each worth 3 models, which is crazy good.
Yeah.
So you take Hammers of Sigmar with Indrasta as a Stormkeep. Take your 3 battle line choices as units of 10 Vindictors, the spear guys. That is a unit worth 30 models that even a Mega Gargant's going to struggle to contest. They then have the ability to bring dead models back with Indrasta. If they're near an objective, they get a 6+ ward save. And this is just your unit of basic guys that before that, people are trying to minimise taking that kind of stuff because they see it as attacks, where now actually it's really good to take. And especially in some of the secondaries in the game where you're going to take out battle line units, that's a battle line unit that's going to take some chewing through, which is ace. Equally, in the Uruk book, there's brutes. Now, brutes have always been cool models, but they're now very much specialised objective grabbers in the new book. Any 1 wound model within 3 inches of them cannot hold an objective. So you charge in a unit, and say if it's a unit of 20 spear elves that Jay's got, you charge in your 5 brutes, you're probably going to lose a couple, but you're probably going to have that entire unit of spear elves within 3 inches of them. As long as you've got a guy left at the end, you've taken that objective. which are going to really change the way people think about building the list. And I hope it's something that we see in all of the battle tomes going forward.
Yeah, I mean, every edition of the game and every battle tome that comes out, every now and again we get like a new mechanic, don't we, and a new theme and stuff. And I think objective taking and how you control it, and number of models and models counting as more and stuff like that is definitely something I think is going to be a big part of the new edition. And then is it the Vulture people for Cruel Boys? They have that ability where they can issue the same command in the same phase as it already been issued, but
That's
not
right, yeah. So the Cruel Boys killer boss on Vulture, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you've already issued a command, they can issue the command again, which again, there's some very good commands that you can ordinarily only do once. So say if you take the big yellers, which is the shooty faction, they could potentially unleash hell with multiples of these guys.
Yeah, and then
really
you've got oh god, what else is it? Like the Mega Boss and Gordrak and stuff. They can issue commands to multiple units in the same
3 units, or they issue the command and it goes on 3 units.
Yeah.
So yeah, some really, really cool stuff. I think we'll see a lot of this going forward, and yeah, I think it's a good thing. Awesome. Well, we are coming up to the end of the stream. We've got just under 10 minutes left. So should we have a quick look at what everyone's been working on? I'll start with my Fulminators, who, to be fair, they're nearly there now. If I can get the blue down on the reins and the grey on the back of the cloak, I mean, they're all right to whack on the stream, and then I can start highlight them and building these up. They've been super fun to paint, and I don't know why I've never painted any before. I think it's the box art. The box art makes them look a bit chunky compared to what they're actually like. I'm kind of tempted to get some more boxes of these to build the other builds of them.
Cool.
And again, the battle line hammers of Sigmar, so I could do a cool, entirely like dragon cavalry force. So yeah, really happy with those. I want to paint some more. There is a character type you can build, and something I'll call out now. There's a lot of kits in the like the Dracothian Guard, where it builds 2 guys, but there's a character option. In the past, if you built that character option, essentially you've got a wasted model, because unlike 40k, there's the mins and maxes for the unit sizes, isn't there? You can't just like add an extra guy. In the new battle tomes, those boxes that only build 2 models and one's a character, you can take the spare model as a single unit, but it doesn't count as battle line, which is really nice. It's a really good way of doing it.
Yeah, I had one of the Puskull Blight Lords, and I built one of them as the Lord of Affliction, but then I was kind of like, why should I even bother building the other one, because I can never use him.
Yeah.
And I ended up selling him last year just to get rid of some of the backlog sort of thing.
I think he can be quite good in some games, because you're not giving away that battle line.
This is it. It's potentially like the dragons. The exact dragons are really good, and you can be really aggressive with it if you're not giving away a secondary as well with it.
Yeah. I've got a question for you, Matt. You know how you can take Dracothian Guard in units of 1?
Yep.
Do they still count as being battle line in Hammers of Sigmar, or do you have to take 2?
So no, it specifies in the rule. You can include 1 unit of this type for each Lord Celestion Dracoth. This unit cannot have the battle line role. So even though Hammers of Sigmar gives it them, a single one can never be given battle line. So they've kind of baked that into the rules, which is cool.
That's good.
And likewise, if I imagine we'll see a Nurgle faction that can take the Puscoils, are they called, as battle line. I think the same would apply. Your spare guy out of the box can be a nice little cheap 1-man unit to go and throw on stuff, but it's not battle line. Jay, should we have a nosy at what you are doing? I see a lot of black.
Yes.
You know the fast show where sketch where the guy just painted black.
That's pretty much all I've been doing. Although I'm on the almost the final highlight now, so I've got to do some blue horror. You probably see the banding on the legs, can you? I don't know.
I can see some blue coming through.
Yeah. So he's almost. I'm almost at the Pterodon turquoise step now. There's the backpack, so he's basically just on the top there with the highlights. So I've just got to do some blue horror, and then it's the Pterodon turquoise to see what happens. I'm
Blend
quite
it all
looking forward to
together.
it.
That's like the arcane magical part, isn't it? At the end.
Yeah, I would never have done that though, like on any black armor that I painted before. So I am really, really intrigued to see what's going to happen.
I suppose it makes sense because you're highlighting up through like greens and blues, and then the blue tints basically just a glaze over it, then, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing the finished model, Jay. So, Andy, what are you working on?
So I am now painting up the Pain Boy,
Nice.
which I'm definitely going to have to name after our Warhammer world. The unsung hero of my army.
The unsung hero. I mean, to be fair, he saved the the war boss as well from getting ran over by my guy.
Yeah, he's definitely an MVP in both games. And then I've painted up the runt herd. I've put washes on him, so I'm just going to leave him to dry for about half an hour or an hour or so, and then I'm going to give the skin a bit of a dry brush, just with Nurgle and green, just to give it a bit of a highlight. I think I might go back over his prodder, some of the metallic areas, and add some like Rune Lord brass to the top of his prodder, and just to break up the silver a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's something you get on a few orc models, isn't it? Where you just need to break up the metallics a little bit.
Yeah, but other than that, he's done. So he can join the Grots, the Gretchen. But I still haven't decided on a paint scheme. So paint scheme, a basing scheme. There you go. So
see, I used to use the texture paints quite a lot, but recently I've gone back to sand and tried to match like the studio models, because I think they do sand on all theirs. But obviously the advantage of the texture paints are dead easy, aren't they? Slop them on, give it a dry brush, job done. I know your ultramarine bases look amazing, Jay.
Yeah, well, I do the ultramarines with the textured base. Yeah, I've got a trick to do like a desert base. I did the same with my Grey Knights. These guys, I'm using sand. Yeah, I like it's whatever I'm feeling at the time. I think there's both ways are quite good.
I guess there's different basing styles that suit different armies, aren't there?
Yeah.
But I suppose if you've got like I've tried a lot of my early stuff had different base schemes for different armies. Where with the new Stormcast and the Cities of Sigmar guys I've just painted, I've given them the same paint scheme, so I can potentially put them together in the same force at some point in the future.
Yeah, I think you just give it a bit of thought, don't you, in that sort of thing.
Like all my demons are mostly on the what are they called? The Shattered Dominion bases.
Oh yeah.
Which, looking back at them now, I kind of think I just rebase them the same way I've done my Greater Demons, because obviously they didn't fit on those bases, and I've done kind of browns, and they look fine side by side. But I don't know. I've rebased my demons already in the past from squares to rounds. I don't know if I can face rebasing them again. But as an army, they probably tie together better, so I probably will do it at some point. There's nothing more annoying than rebasing an army.
No, it is one of those when you've got a bit of hobby time, the last thing you really want to be doing is rebasing an army.
Yeah, I mean, even just removing them from the bases is the most destroying part, isn't it?
You always get a bit of damage.
Yeah, whacking some sand on him and painting them all, it's mindless. You can do that over a couple of hours, but yeah, there with the sharp knife, making sure you've taken the bit of base off the feet of them without snapping a load of demonette ankles is nothing I want to do anytime soon. So they'll probably stay on the current basis for a while. So yeah, awesome guys. Well, that is us for today. Hope you've enjoyed the stream. We'll probably be back next week, probably working on these same models, I imagine, guys. And we should be doing a Stormcast versus Orks live battle on Saturday as well, all going well. So we'll keep you up to date to let you know what's happening with that. If you have enjoyed us, why not give us a follow or subscribe over on YouTube? We are both on Twitch and YouTube, so whichever format you watch, we are on the other one as well. We also have the podcast, which goes out every week on a Wednesday. And yeah, lots of articles, reviews, all that kind of stuff. Whoever asked in the chat for it, the top 3 is up on Twitter at the minute. So if you head over to Twitter, at Sprues and Brews, our top 3 this week are the top 3 Stormcast and Uruk units. So if you let us know, we'll read out the best ones on the podcast tomorrow. So yeah, guys, it has been fun. Hope you've all enjoyed it, and we will see you again next week. See you later. Bye.
Bye.